Ever since we started this video series revealing the untold endings of our favorite sagas, one has been requested more than any other. And yes, you guessed it, the darkest minds. That's why, in today's video, we're diving into the true ending of the movie, using the book series that inspired it as our guide, and summarizing all three novels: The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, and In the Afterlight. Let's dive in and uncover the true ending of The Darkest Minds. It all started with a disease. They called it idiopathic adolescent acute neurodegeneration, IAIN. No one knew where it came from, only that it killed quickly. 98% of children in the United States died within months. But the ones who survived didn't come out unscathed. They developed strange, uncontrollable powers. Powers that terrified the world. The government responded with brutality. They classified the children by their abilities: green, enhanced intelligence; blue, telekinesis; yellow, electric manipulation; orange, telepathy and mind control; and red, fire manipulation, and locked them up in so-called rehabilitation camps. Ruby Daly survived, but her life was never hers again. The night before her 10th birthday, something inside her changed. The next day, her parents no longer remembered her. Her mother locked her in the garage and called the police. The Psy Special Forces arrived quickly. They took her, like so many others, and sent her to Thurmond, one of the most feared camps. On the way there, Ruby witnessed something she would never forget. An orange kid, just like her, used his powers to make a guard take his own life. From that moment on, she understood the fear people had of kids like her. At Thurmond, your color determined your fate. Greens and blues had some level of freedom. Yellows, reds, and oranges were chained, gagged, and watched day and night. Ruby knew right away she had to hide what she was. When a doctor tried to identify her color, she used her powers to manipulate him into classifying her as green. She was sent to a cabin with other girls and kept her secret hidden for years. Everything changed when she turned 16. She met Kate Connor, an undercover agent from the Children's League. Kate had come to the camp to locate and rescue the most dangerous kids. She used a device called Calm Control that could detect hidden powers. Under its effects, Ruby passed out, and her true nature was exposed. The League offered her a way out. Ruby agreed, along with another orange, Martin. They had no choice. They knew that if they were ever discovered, they'd be eliminated. During the escape, Ruby accidentally touched Rob, another League agent, and read something in his mind that horrified her. He had killed 2 rescued children. In the chaos, she fled and hid in a van where she met Zoo, a yellow girl. Soon after, Liam and Chubbs joined them, reluctantly at first, and the 4 of them began a journey across a crumbling country, with the government, trackers, and even the League close behind. As they traveled through deserted highways and abandoned towns, Ruby got to know her new companions. Liam, reckless and brave; Chubbs, analytical and suspicious; Zoo, quiet but full of light. Each of them had survived in their own way. All of them carried invisible scars. They were searching for East River, a safe haven where the Slip Kids, children like them, had managed to organize a resistance. But the road wasn't easy. They were ambushed by trackers, endured accidents, and Ruby uncovered truths that would haunt her. Using her powers, she dove into other people's dreams, saw memories that weren't hers, and realized that not all camps were the same. Some were far worse. One of them, Caledonia, was a place of methodical horror. After following a trail of clues, the group finally reached East River. But what they found wasn't what they had hoped for. The leader of the camp was Clancy Gray, a charming, cultured boy who was also an orange, just like Ruby. Under his guidance, Ruby began training her powers. At first, she trusted him. She wanted to understand herself, to control the power she feared. But Clancy had other plans. His control went beyond the mind. It was emotional, manipulative, complete. Soon, Ruby, Liam, and Chubbs discovered that Clancy was using everyone for his own agenda. He was planning to ally with the Reds of Project Jamboree to take over the country. It was all a facade. They tried to escape. They failed. During the confrontation, Clancy unleashed chaos. Zoo and Hina managed to flee. Ruby, Liam, and Chubbs barely made it out alive. Injured and desperate, they headed to the home of Jack's father, a boy who had died during the escape from Caledonia, to deliver a letter. But before they could get there, Chubbs was shot. Ruby couldn't bear to lose him too. In an act of sacrifice, she contacted the League and offered to turn herself in if they saved Chubbs. She asked for one condition: that they let Liam go. She knew he'd never walk away on his own, so she did it for him. She used her powers to wipe Liam's memories of her, their story, their promises, their love. And that's how it ended. Ruby Daly, the girl who had spent her life hiding who she was now working with the League, her heart scarred but set on one mission: to make sure all of it meant something. Time has passed, but the world remains a battlefield for Psy kids. Ruby Daly is now part of the Children's League, a secret organization fighting from the shadows against the government that hunts down and locks up young people with special abilities. She's no longer the scared girl who once escaped Thurmond. Now she leads missions alongside Vita, Nico, and Jude, facing dangers that demand impossible decisions. During one of their operations, Ruby begins to notice cracks forming within the League. A bomb goes off exactly where she and Vita were supposed to be. At first, she doubts her suspicions, but everything changes when Jude tells her that he and Blake overheard Rob, an agent of the League and Kate's partner, conspiring with other members to get rid of the Psy kids. And they weren't just talking, they were planning to kill them. With her heart pounding, Ruby begins to question the very organization that promised to protect them. When Alan, the League's leader, asks her to read the mind of Cole Stewart, Liam's older brother, she lies. In truth, she discovers that Cole is acting as a spy, and that vital information about the Psy disease was lost when Liam accidentally grabbed Cole's jacket before a date. Hidden in that jacket was a USB drive containing secrets that could change everything. As the group processes the news, Blake is sent on a mission he's not prepared for, and dies trying. Later, Nico and Jude find out that Jarvan, Rob's friend, and also a League member, shot Blake in the back. The feeling of betrayal becomes unbearable. Ruby no longer knows who to trust. When Cole confronts her for lying to Alan, Ruby tells him everything and begs him to find Liam before it's too late. Soon after, Ruby and Jude are sent on a new mission with Rob. Even though Ruby suspects it's just another trap to eliminate Psy kids, they manage to escape. Desperate, they head to Liam's house, only to find it empty. Vita catches up with them, revealing she had been following them the entire time. She decides to stay. Shortly after, they discover an intruder. But he's not an enemy, it's Chubbs. He's back, looking for Ruby and Liam. Vita tells them she was sent by Cole and Kate, and that she's been communicating with them through an encrypted system called Chatter. The group heads to Nashville, but the city is under lockdown due to a flood warning. Chubbs tries to force his way in, sparking a fight. Ruby storms off with Vita and Jude, but eventually comes back to make peace with her old friend. Meanwhile, Vita and Jude are captured by Knox, a tyrannical teen who runs a camp where kids are forced to work. Vita is kept behind to entertain him, while the others are sent to the White Tent, a supposed infirmary. There, Ruby finds Liam on the brink of death from pneumonia. Vita and Rose volunteer to find medicine, but Knox imposes a challenge. They must face off against a red kid, one who has been conditioned by the government to attack on command. Ruby dives into his mind, desperate to save him. But Knox kills the boy before she can. Consumed by rage, Ruby confronts Knox and forces him to leave the camp, freeing all the kids. Amid the chaos, Jude finds the missing USB. It had been in Liam's jacket this entire time. The group sets out to raid an airport where International Red Cross supplies are being stored, but they're discovered. During the escape, Ruby is captured by Rob. On the drive, she dives into his mind and shows him the faces of the children he killed. Rob loses control, crashes the car, and dies. The rest of the group, Vita, Jude, Chubbs, and Liam, finds her and rescues her. They stop at a nearby camp to regroup. It's there that Ruby finally confesses to Liam that she's part of the League. Heartbroken, Liam refuses to keep traveling with them. Ruby realizes that erasing his memories had been a mistake. Something inside him still remembers. Liam runs. Ruby chases after him. And in that moment, without meaning to, Ruby unlocks all his memories. They were still there, hidden, waiting to be set free. Liam, in tears, confesses that he loves her, even if he doesn't know why. But now he understands everything. Together, the group changes course toward California, until they receive orders to head to Colorado instead. When they arrive at the supposed rendezvous point, they discover that the chatter system has been compromised. The instructions they'd been following weren't from Kate, but from someone else. Waiting in a cafe is Clancy Gray. He reveals that several League agents rebelled and took control. Ruby discovers that Clancy has been searching for her mother, a scientist who worked on Project Snowfall, the origin of everything that happened to them. Amid the chaos, Ruby reunites with Cole. He reveals his biggest secret. He's also a Red. He asks her to keep it hidden. The group escapes from the main League headquarters and relocates to an old base near Sacramento. There, for the first time in a long while, Ruby and her friends can finally breathe. But they know the worst is still to come. The next phase has already begun. And once again, Ruby will be the one to decide whether the darkness turns into light. The world was no longer safe for kids like Ruby Daly. After the events of the Darkest Minds and the betrayal of several League agents, Ruby and the surviving members of the Children's League were forced to retreat. With Clancy Gray as their prisoner and the weight of Project Snowfall on their shoulders, they sought refuge at the ranch, a secret base hidden beneath a forgotten bar, accessible only to those who knew its code. Along the way, Ruby found Zoo and a group of Psy kids hiding in the forests of Northern California. They were starving, scared, and broken, but still alive. Among them were Tommy and Pat, old friends from East River. Ruby didn't hesitate. She would take them to the ranch. When they arrived, tensions erupted. Kate and Daly, two agents who had been abandoned, couldn't believe what had happened. Clashes with Vita and Cole were inevitable. Everyone was hurting. Everyone had lost too much. As they tried to regroup, Ruby discovered that Clancy had been manipulating her mind. He had forced her to transmit information without her even knowing it. The realization shook her. Her mind, once her refuge, was no longer a safe place. To protect those around her, she began secretly training with Cole, pushing herself beyond her limits. She knew her power was a weapon, but also a threat. In the Project Cardinal files, Ruby found a list of Psy kids deemed a threat, every single one of them. And in those pages, she also found their next target, the Oasis Rehabilitation Camp. That's where the offensive began. The mission was a success, but it came at a high price. Cole was killed during a raid on another camp. Ruby didn't have time to mourn. The system's downfall was still unwritten. Then came her hardest decision of all, to infiltrate Thurmond, the camp where it had all started. She allowed herself to be captured, pretending to be a Green. She controlled her captors' minds, survived their surveillance, and lived among the girls still enduring that brutal system. Among them, she found Sam, whom she helped recover her memories. But Ruby's mission was clear: plant a Trojan to bring down the camp's internal systems. She was discovered. Taken before Commander Orion, she was brutally tortured. Her leg was broken while she was tied to a chair. But Ruby didn't give up. She unleashed her power and sparked a revolt. In the darkest moment, when all seemed lost, Liam appeared. He had come back for her. Along with Harry, they pulled her out. Ruby insisted on walking. After everything, she had to prove she could still stand on her own. They led thousands of freed children to a rendezvous point, but a line of armed police blocked the way. The tension shattered when one officer dropped his shield and stepped forward to reunite a little girl with her mother. That act opened the path. One by one, the officers stepped aside. Ruby, wounded and exhausted, was taken to an ambulance. For the first time in a long while, she let herself collapse. She woke up in a hospital. Her grandmother was there, so were her parents, and at last, she gave them back their memories. In her hand was the phone number Liam had left. She had survived, but the world still needed rebuilding. At a conference held by President Cruz, the new plan was announced. Anyone over 18 could choose whether or not to take the cure. Minors would be subject to their parents' decisions. Meanwhile, Clancy, still a prisoner, was trying to regain control. Ruby stopped him. She entered his mind one last time and wiped away everything that had corrupted him. Thurmond, East River, all his manipulations. The past that had shaped them would no longer have power over him. With the threat neutralized and her friends about to be sent off to different places, Ruby proposed one final escape. Liam grabbed the keys. Vita, Zoo, Chubbs, they all climbed into the car. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it was theirs to choose. "Just drive," Ruby said, "and get lost." And they did, because at last, they were free. Let me know in the comments what other topics you'd like to see covered on the channel. And remember, if you enjoy this type of video, the best way to support me is by leaving a like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell. See you in the next video.